Welcome back. Prospecting. That's what we're going to talk about now. Back in the early 1800s, here in California, they were prospecting. They were looking for gold, digging in rocks and going through rivers and lakes and just trying to find gold. Well, in one aspect, prospecting is what you need to do today in order to get to your goal, to get to your clients, to get them to purchase your product or service. Prospecting is an activity that yield results that you're looking for. But sometimes, just like back in the olden days, you can dig and dig and dig for gold and you come up with nothing. Same principle applies here in reality, in which when you're knocking on doors or sending out email blasts or pushing out social media content and newsletters, etc., 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 all of these things are important to yield a certain result. And then sometimes I realized throughout my career is that your prospecting needs to be really, really high engaging, a high level of activity to get to results that you're looking for. So prospecting here is where we're going to start. And what I encourage folks to embrace, number one, is to project a winning attitude when it comes to prospecting. It's really interesting as I meet more entrepreneurs in my space that I have right now. They have a great product and great service, etc. But one of the things they do not enjoy is prospecting. So I ran across a philosopher a few years ago. It's a gentleman by the name of Lou Tice, and he founded an organization called the Pacific Institute. He says something very simplistic but very profound. He says if you want to change your life, change your mind. Change the way that you think about it. So I've learned to embrace prospecting. It's not this hard, difficult task of like, oh my God, I got to do prospecting. What is wrong? There is nothing wrong. In order for you to get to the results that you're looking for, prospecting is one of those things that you have to do. So I encourage you to change your attitude about prospecting. Embrace it and enjoy it. Have a winning attitude when it comes to prospecting because it will, I will repeat, it will yield you the results that you're looking for. The next one we're going to look at, it says participate actively in groups and organizations. So I volunteer a lot. Not only am I very active with my chamber, I'm very active with other nonprofits as well. And I also realize that when I'm working with these nonprofits, when I'm volunteering my time, it's about their business and their goals and their objectives. And I'm okay with that, but it gives me the opportunity to begin to network with other business professionals. And then we carve out time for coffee or lunch or something of that sort, and we begin to learn about one another and each other's businesses. And then I figure out how can I help them. And my goal is hopefully for them to think how they can help me. And then it becomes a win-win situation. This is not a selfish act, ladies and gentlemen. The more people I've helped, the more that help comes right back towards me. It's a biblical principle. Pouring into others, helping others achieve their goal. And by doing so, it will pay just unlimited amount of dividends for you and your business and your areas of opportunity. Continue here, it says referrals. There's a large there's a percentage that we're going to talk about a little bit later that tells you and suggests that when someone refers you into another business, the likelihood of you winning that increases dramatically versus a very simple cold call, right? We all know that. But really interesting is that most of us, most business professionals, most salespeople aren't asking for referrals. Interesting. It's a proven statistic that if you ask for referrals and you get it, it increases your level of success. So why aren't people asking? And you may be thinking, well, my customers, they should just volunteer and give me the information. Ladies and gentlemen, we have not because we ask not. You must ask for that referral. Let's continue here. Communication and connections. It says keep your name in front of people. Again, I am constantly calling people. I am constantly going to networking events. I am constantly talking with people, interacting with people. The more people know Richard of RDM Management Group, that also increases my chances of success in promoting my business. And when I do that, I make sure that I listen very carefully. Let's go to the next page. It says treat everyone you meet with equal consideration. I learned when I was 2 Never judge a book by its cover. You never know what information or what knowledge or perhaps connections that the other person you have that you interact with every day that you could be ignoring. When I was out there cold calling, knocking on doors, I love interacting with the receptionist. Because if you build a relationship with him or her, chances are they can give you insight on how to connect with those other folks within the organization that could be writing the check to your next deal. But often these folks are ignored. Or cashiers or people that we value perhaps with least responsibility, we have the tendency to ignore them and want to talk to those key decision makers. Again, and granted, those key decision makers are the ones that's writing the check, but if you discount other folks, that could have an impact and influence in your ability to win that opportunity. When I'm out training with a client, not only am I training with the folks that are in that classroom, I begin to network and interact with everyone within that organization at my disposal. I want to get to know them. I want them to get to know me. And I want them to realize that I care about them. I talk to them. I'm asking them about their day. How was their weekend? I'm looking at photos on their desk and talking about their family, etc. And by doing that, you're building a connection. And so when you walk away from that particular environment or that presentation, folks will say, hey, you know, that guy Richard, he's pretty decent. He's pretty good. You get buy-in for other influences. This increases your chance for success. So don't ignore anyone and build those connections. Everyone brings value. Everyone. As we continue here, please follow up. Oh my God, that's just like a golden rule, right? It seems simple, but you'll be amazed on how many people have a stack of business cards that they have yet to follow up on. What are you waiting for them to call you? Keep waiting. Let's continue here. I'm sorry, I do have a little sense of humor, but the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, we have to do follow up. And you can schedule that into your day-to-day activity. It's very simplistic. Tell people how you can help them, right? How can you help them accomplish their goals? This is a very selfish act. As I mentioned earlier, it yields great results. And it says acknowledge great performance wherever you see it. It's okay to tell people that they're doing a really good job. Strangers, or someone smiling, or a cashier is working really hard, or someone delivers your food. Pump people up. There's so much negative energy in this world. We need to encourage one another for all small things and great things, and to include your sphere of influence, your family members, your co-workers, your administrative assistant, people who are busting their butt for you and I. Say thank you and show a level of gratitude. This is a mantra. This is a personality. This is sort of just who Richard Marx is of RDN Management Group. Always want to help others accomplish their goals. And it also feels good. Let's continue here. The next section that we want to talk about is cold calling and warm calling. There's a difference between the two. So a cold call is an unsolicited contact of someone by telephone, email, etc. That's a cold call. And then, of course, we have a warm call, which refers to a sales call, a visitor email that is preceded by some sort of previous contact. And so my success rate increases dramatically when I'm prospecting to a warm call versus a cold call. So where do I get my warm calls from? Because it starts as a cold call at some point in time. Yes, it does. And so when I'm at my networking events with my chamber and these other organizations that I'm a part of, I begin to build connections and relationships with those individuals. And then I would follow up with those few folks that I connect with. It's not everyone, just the folks that I connect with for a coffee or just a conference call or something of that nature. And we begin to build a rapport with one another. And then when I begin to market to him or her or vice versa, that's more of a warm call. Is building that relationship from the first time I meet them. Yes, I still have to do cold calling, and cold calling does work. But if you want to increase your level of effectiveness, the warm call is the way to go, and I think you would agree as well. So how do you transition a cold call into a warm call? It says change your mental objective before you make your call. And what I mean by that is remove the focus from you just for a moment and focus on other people. But this is a very delicate balance because you need to be genuine. You need to be sincere. You don't want to wing this. You want to build a relationship. And the relationship starts the first moment that words come out of your mouth. Hello, my name is X. Who are you? And your name is why. What do you do? What brings you to this particular event? What brings you to this particular restaurant? And begin to just build a conversation with that individual in a very unintentful way, meaning that you're not trying to sell them anything. The goal here is just simply get to know this individual. Why is that important? Because remember, people buy from people. People buy from people that they like and that they enjoy. So this is the first process of that. And before you officially meet with them outside of this first interaction, do your research. One of my favorite sources that I go to before I meet with any person, before I train with any organization, I go to LinkedIn. And if they have a LinkedIn profile, I am doing my homework. I am starting to build that connection with these individuals in advance, even before we meet for the second and or third time. So research, research, research. You can Google almost anyone. You can pull them up on LinkedIn. Of course, there's Facebook and there's Instagram and Twitter, etc. If it's a business account that they have on one of these social media platforms, that's an area of interest and opportunity. And it says here, start a conversation. Don't give a presentation. There's a difference. Start a conversation. Get to know them. Give them the opportunity to get to know you. And then finally, understand the mindset of the person that you're interacting with. Well, how can you do that? Well, you probably have to be a pretty good listener. You know, there's a quote out there that suggests or says, I may goof this up a little bit, but it says in essence is that we listen to reply opposed to listening to understand. Again, we listen to reply versus listening to understand. Meaning before the other person you're talking to are finished with their conversation, you can't wait to share your thoughts and your ideas, and that's fantastic. But as you begin to formulate that from a cognitive perspective and begin to interrupt them before they finish, as we quite often do at times, you're missing elements and parts of that conversation, which could be the difference between you winning that opportunity in the future. But you're cutting them off. You got to say what you want to say because it's so important, but you're creating a disconnect between you and your potential opportunity and your prospect and your client. Identify a problem for this particular individual. Begin to discuss what issues and challenges in which they're facing. If they had a magic wand that can wave it, and if this problem would go away, how would they do that? You'll be amazed that they begin to tell you and communicate to you how your company or your product or service in which you represent can potentially solve their problem, but you have to understand their pain points first. That's a very smart way of selling. If there's no pain, chances are there's no sale. And that's okay. No pain today, maybe later. That's okay. You will continue by start asking probing questions, their desired outcome, and these type of questions as we begin to get into the questioning techniques, they will begin to help you and shape that conversation to help you accomplish your goal. But ironically, you're solving their problems. We'll come back in a few moments to discuss more. Thank you.